The moment she said okay, my smile disappeared. I had only meant it as a joke. One careless sentence. One random afternoon. One unexpected answer that would completely change two lives forever. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of helping others when they need it most, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to Heartwarming Tales for more emotional stories that stay with you long after they end. It happened on a bright spring afternoon in the quiet neighborhood where I had lived for nearly 8 years. The sun was shining, children were riding bicycles along the sidewalks, and everything seemed perfectly ordinary. I was carrying groceries from my car when I noticed my neighbor standing outside her small house. Her name was Marissa Hale. She was in her early 30s and had moved into the neighborhood about a year earlier. Most people knew her as polite but distant. She always waved hello but rarely stopped to talk. There was a sadness behind her eyes that seemed impossible to hide, even on the brightest days. That afternoon she stood beside her mailbox, staring at a stack of envelopes. Her shoulders looked heavy, as if she were carrying something much larger than paper. Trying to lighten the mood, I smiled and called out that if life was giving her that much trouble, she should just come with me. I wasn't even finished saying the sentence. She looked up and quietly said okay. Not joking. Not laughing. Just okay. The word landed like a stone between us. For a moment I thought I had misunderstood. But then I noticed the tears gathering in her eyes. The groceries nearly slipped from my hands. Something was very wrong. As we sat on my porch a few minutes later, the truth slowly emerged. Marissa had been struggling in ways nobody around us knew. After losing her parents within a short period of time, she had spent years caring for her younger brother. She worked 2 jobs, barely slept, and quietly carried responsibilities that would have overwhelmed most people. Then her brother had moved away for work. The house became silent. The bills piled up. Loneliness settled into every corner of her life. To make matters worse, the company where she worked had recently downsized. Her hours were cut almost in half. Every day became a battle between paying rent, buying groceries, and holding herself together emotionally. Nobody knew. She never told anyone. And now she had reached a point where even getting out of bed felt difficult. That afternoon, standing by her mailbox, she had been reading another overdue payment notice. When I jokingly said come with me, it was the first invitation anyone had given her in months. The realization broke my heart. Over the following weeks, something unexpected happened. What began as a random conversation turned into a genuine friendship. Every Saturday morning we started walking around the neighborhood together. We talked about ordinary things at first. Movies. Books. Childhood memories. But slowly the deeper conversations emerged. She told me about losing her parents. I told her about my own struggles after a difficult divorce years earlier. She shared her fears. I shared mine. For the first time in a long time, neither of us felt completely alone. Still, life wasn't magically fixed. Marissa continued facing financial challenges. There were days when her confidence disappeared completely. Some mornings she called herself a burden. Other days she questioned whether things would ever improve. Watching someone fight an invisible battle is difficult. You want to solve everything immediately. But real healing rarely works that way. Instead, it happens through small moments. A shared meal. A phone call. A reminder that someone cares. A reason to keep going for one more day. One afternoon, while helping her organize paperwork, I discovered something surprising. Before family responsibilities had taken over her life, Marissa had studied graphic design. She showed me old sketches, logos, and artwork stored inside dusty folders. The talent was incredible. I couldn't understand why she had abandoned it. Then she explained. Life happened. Responsibilities happened. Survival became more important than dreams. But seeing those designs sparked something inside her that had been asleep for years. Over the next several months, she began creating again. At first, it was only a few hours each week. Then more. Eventually, she started taking small freelance projects online. The income wasn't much initially, but every completed project brought back a piece of her confidence. For the first time in years, hope returned. The transformation wasn't dramatic or sudden. It was gradual. Like sunlight slowly filling a dark room. One day she smiled more. The next week she laughed more. A month later she spoke about future plans instead of past regrets. And then came the moment neither of us expected. Nearly a year after that afternoon by the mailbox, Marissa received an offer from a growing design company that had seen her work online. They wanted her full-time. The salary was more than she had earned in years. The opportunity included creative projects she genuinely loved. When she received the call, she cried. Not because she was sad. Because after years of surviving, she finally felt like she was living again. A few days later we sat on the same porch where everything had started. The neighborhood looked exactly as it had that spring afternoon. Children played nearby. Birds sang from the trees. The sun shone brightly overhead. But everything felt different. Marissa looked at me and smiled. She said she sometimes wondered what would have happened if I hadn't made that silly joke that day. The truth was, I wondered the same thing. Because I had learned something too. We often underestimate the impact of simple kindness. A casual invitation. A conversation. A few minutes of genuine attention. To us, these things may seem small. To someone silently struggling, they can mean everything. If this story is touching your heart so far, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to Heartwarming Tales, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that brighter days can still be ahead. Special request: comment below with the word hope if you believe one act of kindness can change a person's life forever. Today, Marissa is thriving. She still lives in the same neighborhood. She still waves every morning. But the sadness that once filled her eyes has largely been replaced by confidence and peace. And every time I walk past that mailbox, I remember the day a harmless joke became something much bigger. I told my neighbor, "Come with me," as a joke. She said okay before I finished the sentence. What I didn't know was that she wasn't looking for a place to go. She was looking for a reason to keep moving forward. Sometimes the people around us aren't asking for miracles. They're simply hoping someone notices they're carrying more than they can bear. And sometimes, without realizing it, we become the answer to a prayer they never spoke out loud. That's why kindness matters. Because you never know whose life might change because of one simple moment, one open door, or one invitation that says, "You don't have to face this alone." And in a world where so many people feel unseen, that kind of kindness can become the beginning of an entirely new story. This version is written to fit a heartfelt, approximately 1,000-word YouTube narration with emotional pacing, strong hook, viewer engagement prompts, and a complete ending in part 1.